Change Conversation, Episode 3. My name is Archie Kotia from Connecting Dreams Foundation. And today we have Evelyn from Papua New Guinea, our Global Changemaker Fellow of Cohort 2022. Welcome, Evelyn. Welcome to the Change Conversations.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Archie, and the team.
Great. So, Evelyn, as you know, Change Conversation is going to be a space for us to get to know you a little better, get to know about your initiative, and also for other change makers to find inspiration through your story, right? So, Evelyn, do you want to just begin by sharing first a little bit about yourself and about your initiative?
Thank you so much, Archie. Okay, a little introduction of myself. My name is Evelyn Jarua. I come from Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea is one of the Commonwealth countries found in the South Pacific region. So in the New Guinea island. So that's where I come from. It's right above Australia. If you know Australia, this small island is right above Australia. So I am the founder of Liklik Story Tasol book project. It's a project, it's named in my own language, but it means short stories in English. So it's called Liklik Story Tasol book project. So I started off this initiative in 2017 when I was an undergraduate at the University of Papua New Guinea. So I took social work as major and archaeology as minor. So social work kind of shaped me into thinking about community needs. And so I started collecting books at uni and I was giving it back to the rural schools, especially in my village. So I grew up in rural areas, not particularly from my province, but from all around Papua New Guinea. Due to parent job transfer, I had to travel from different rural parts in Papua New Guinea, and I've observed the challenges that the children they are facing and the communities they are facing. So when I was at university, that kind of challenged me to provoke me to do something to give back to them. So that's how I started it off. So I started it from scratch, and then I finally registered it in 2020 with PNG um, Investment Authority, which is the authority in charge of registration of associations in PNG. So I registered it, and now I have a certificate for it, and I'm running it. Um, Liklik Story Tasol book project is a project that aims at strengthening the rule of law through education, and the target group or the aim audience is children in primary and elementary schools. These are children below the age of 10, I'd say. Yeah, below the age, the adolescents and elementary age, the early childhood. So in Papua New Guinea, as you all know, there's high crime rates. So currently, I am working with the Department of Justice in PNG. So um, those things kind of worked in line with what my profession is. So I started off as book drive, and then it ventured into this initiative. So the initiative is one of the three other initiatives in the community association that I run. So Liklik Story Tasol is one, and it's focused on STD4, which is quality education for all. Yeah. So it focuses on that.
Thank you so much, Evelyn, for sharing that. And I think, like, I know what it means for you to do this project in your community and the reason why. So, I think my next question is like, I know why, but I would also like to know the audience to know, like, why you really started this initiative and how you've been actively working towards it and what's the impact your initiative has been able to create. So, do you want to just share, like, what was that tipping point that led you to start this initiative with students or adolescent kids from elementary and middle school across Papua New Guinea?
From my background, I am the first female from my village to complete tertiary education. I come from a patrilineal society in PNG, which means men take the lead in everything. So there are a lot of my father was one of the pioneers who went to tertiary institution, and I think that kind of paved way for an open mind person. So we were very lucky to raise by our fathers. So he kind of pushed females, myself and my sisters, and I was one of them that made it through to tertiary institution. So when I graduated with my Bachelor of Arts degree in social work, it kind of speak a language or speak a voice to the rural population, especially the females in my village. So it kind of motivated them. So I've seen a pathway through education to motivate youths and others as well. So I started taking all of these initiatives to champion education and empower other females as well in my society to pursue their dreams through education. So that was one of the key reasons that motivated me to continue on this initiative through empowering youths in the rural societies or communities.
Thank you, Evelyn. I know like you've been a role model not just for the children that you work with, but for many others, right? And I know you're contributing beyond just education as well through your projects. But speaking specifically about the project that you're running in the education sector, right? Like I know you've been working with students, and you mentioned that you were the first in your own village to complete your bachelor's degree and then pursue your master's in social work. So if you had to just throw some light on these statistics of just the literacy rate in Papua New Guinea or the villages that you're working with, how could you just paint that picture for us so that we're also able to realize the need that you're trying to address, and how are you doing it through your project to be more specific?
Thank you. The Litlik Story Tassel book project, when I started it off, it kind of motivated me to empower other women. So the illiteracy rate in PNG is quite high, meaning a lot of the population lives in rural societies, and most rural societies don't have access to basic education. I mean, they have schools, but the facilities are not well equipped. They have teachers there, but they're not well equipped with resources and to teach the children there. So most children kind of lost the interest in education, and they fall into other paths in doing everything and anything in the village. So um, the illiteracy rate is quite high. So knowing that English is our second language and we come from a more diverse society and culture, it kind of quite conflicting to learn a new language since all our books and everything have been written in English. So it's a big barrier and a challenge to the rural population, the people especially living in the rural areas. In urban society, in urban areas, it's quite okay. Most people are illiterate in terms of read and write the basic, and I'm talking about the basic reading and writing in English. Yeah. So for our rural societies, I'd say in a scale of 1 to 5, we'd say two, 2 or 3 is the illiteracy rate, and 2 or 3, or if we say um, 30% of the people are illiterate, then you can say I'm not 30%, sorry, we can say 80% of the population is illiterate, the rural population, then we can say 40 is women that are illiterate. And most of our societies are patrilineal societies. So more emphasis and empowerment are towards the males. So females don't get that opportunity to venture into a lot of fields or a lot of things. Or say, for instance, if there's 3 boys in a family and a female, and those 3 boys, their school fees are quite high, and um, the parents would say, okay, the female you stay back, or the daughter stays back, and allow the Three Boys to continue, something like that. So it comes back to culture and all those things. So now we are changing, and the world is also changing, and we are developing, and having all sorts of influence coming in, and mindset as well. People are opening up to making changes in this kind of issues that we face in our society. And I also want to make change, to bring change to my society as well. So this Little Story Tassel book project it has been rolling out through partnership arrangements. It has been rolling out through partnership arrangements. So what I basically do is I liaise with the stakeholders, partners that are out here. Since I am working here in the city, I try to liaise with the organizations that are dealing with education, and try to bring liaise and partner and create a pathway for the rural schools to reach them. So one of the key partners that is very supportive in this is the Books for PNG Kids. It's a local NGO in Australia. So I reach out to them through social media, and they've went through my profile and they've seen what I've been doing, and they are quite impressed. So they usually send books and stationeries over to me here, and I facilitate and coordinate to the rural schools and all over Papua New Guinea, I'd say. So the Liklik Story Tasol book project have reached, I'd say, we have 22 provinces in PNG, and I'd say we'd reach 10 already, and we're looking forward to reach others again. Yeah. So 10 meaning um, it's about 20 plus schools we reach in 10 provinces.
Beautiful.
So
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, so the demand is actually the demand is quite high. So when I post about what I'm doing online, especially social media, a lot of my friends and colleagues, they go online, and then they started to share, and then people from rural schools started reaching out to me. And one of the main challenges that I face running this project is logistics, and logistics is quite expensive in PNG to freight the books out either through ship or through air. So the books come here in the city, so it's been prepacked and they come here. So I ensure that when they are going out to schools, I tie a virtue in with the books. So I said, okay, you are getting 30 cartons of books. Um, can you identify a social issue in your school that you can champion to prevent? So if they say bullying, then they'll say, okay, we can champion to stop bullying or anti-bullying kind of behaviors among the students. So I said, okay, fine. And then I can give them the books, and then they report back and tell me some wonderful stories what they're doing, especially the teachers. Yeah. Some are teachers, so I work with some are teachers, some are community volunteers. So a lot of people from all walks of life, they reach out to me to assist them with either with books or with values. So what I basically do is I supply them with soft copies of the values. Like I downloaded them or create a small PowerPoint presentation, and when I give the books, I give this one to them to just to guide them.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing this, Evelyn. And I think, I know that your work is also expanded just from the time you entered into the fellowship and where you are. So, congratulations and kudos for that as well. I know you touched slightly about the different challenges that you're facing, like how do you manage logistics and other things. And you also spoke about certain things that you've been able to do, right? Like just not just by providing books, but also encouraging like these many projects like anti-bullying or like something a social cause that you want to champion as a school together. I think that brings to my next question, and that is like, what do you think have been certain success stories that you've been able to create through your work in the last few years? And it'll be great if you could share some of the ground stories and success stories of students, of schools, or these volunteers or teachers that you've been working with.
Thank you so much, Achi. There've been wonderful stories from schools, especially the rural schools, and some of the books that we deliver to them, it's kind of emotional to them. They've said they've never received such support from anyone, And this is the first, most of the schools in the rural schools that we went and delivered the books, and we gave speeches where some of those that don't have libraries, they don't have libraries, yeah, and they just assign a classroom to keep the books there. And when we give them the books, it kind of motivated them to create a library, a reading space, a safe reading space for kids. And that's one of the aim for Liklik Story Tasol book project. And teachers were, they gave a feedback that kids were quite interested with the books. And there were a lot of absenteeism before the books arrived. And when the books arrived, there were full class. So this is a small impact, but it kind of speaks a message to what we are doing. And that's one. And two is the parents in the communities that the schools are there. They're saying the parents have also seen the changes in their kids as well. So they are more motivated to go to school now that they know that there are interesting things going on there, and they'll be reading and they'll be given stationaries and those things. So it's not just a boring teacher student teaching, but they'll be doing some things. They'll have books, and um, some students, they don't have a reading book like their entire life. So when the books are there, it kind of it's a new thing to them, so they want to have a feel of it. So we usually give like some curtains out to during the presentation. We give one book each to all the students that are present during the um, delivery of books and during the awareness programs. So we said the remaining of books, you can find them in your libraries. So do come to school. So yeah, it's just that. So when they take the books home, the parents are also impressed. Oh, where did you get that book? Oh, we got it from the school. There's someone coming and giving books to us, and oh wow, okay, do you have a library? No, and even some of the parents who are illiterate, they're kind of their reading stage would be at an early age, yeah, like they're just starting to pronounce and all those ones. So those books are quite handy to them to for their kids, but they're also learning with their kids as well. And I'm talking about rural population. Yeah, so it's just some impact. Yeah. So we've reached more than 20 schools and in 22 provinces, and requests are still coming in. They've continued to come in. And I created a through this Connecting Dreams Foundation and the Global Leadership Program. I've been able to tap into technology. Yeah, I've learned to utilize social media platforms as well. So so I learned to use those Google Forms. So at first I find it quite, the challenges is like every night I have to check my phone to see the requests coming in. So it's quite challenging when you want to sleep, but you have to reply to some messages and all that. But when I joined this leadership program, it kind of helped me to manage my work well and in a more organized manner. So I created Google online forms for requests and for feedbacks. So two forms I created. So now when they just send me a request asking for books and what, I just send them the link and say fill in the form and submit. Yeah, and feedback as well. When I'm following up on feedbacks, I just send them the link. Please, when you deliver the book, send me the feedbacks in through this link. Yes, that's something I kind of build from the global leadership program through um, Connecting Dreams Foundation. So thank you, Archie and the team.
Great, and I think it's beautiful to hear, like though for us these things are very small, like creating a form and sharing, but I think little do you realize the impact that it's creating on someone else's life, and it's beautiful to hear. And I know, I mean, something that I could very clearly see is like just the joy in your eyes when you were talking about kids receiving books, or parents also taking interest in reading those books, or just the pride that someone takes in having a library in school, and it seems like a privilege, right, for some rural parts that you're catering with, and it's beautiful. And I'm sure that this journey has not been easy. There's been a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges, and you've been like steering it through them, like a leader that you are, right? And what those challenges are, like if you could just throw some light on a few of these challenges and how you've been actively trying to overcome these.
So one of the challenges that I mentioned earlier is logistics. So to move books from where I am to the rural schools. So why it's a challenge? Because in the geography of PNG, it's quite complex. So we have some of the villages that are very isolated in high mountains that has no road access, and there's only plane that goes once a month or like that. So I kind of work my way around, try to see what are the service providers there that I can work with, what are NGOs, existing NGOs there that I can work with them to channel these books through them to reach the schools. So people can reach me through social media, but when I try to get the books to them, it's kind of complex. And some schools and villages, rural societies are quite isolated through islands. We have a lot of atolls and islands. So, there's no, they have only boats going in or like that. Um, so I try to work with the volunteers that they request. Most of the people that request are volunteers. They try to list for the schools that they come from. So I encourage them to chip in for logistics as well, while I try to work with the NGOs and the some business houses like mining companies that are there that have setups there or anything like that. The login companies as well. These people they are set up right in the rural areas. Yeah. So I try to liaise and let them know that my name is this and that. I'm doing this. This is the initiative trying to bring the books to the schools. So if it's possible, you have a charter plane going, can you put this number of books? The teacher is available to collect it there like that. So I've I've learned to, I'd say, not knock on doors, but kick doors down. So that's one thing that I've learned. At first, like I was quite easy on it, but when I see that the need was growing, the demand was growing, and people were really anxious to access the books, so I know that the need is there. So I have to do something in my capacity as a person, as a young person, as a global leader to do something. So I this global leadership program has also played an important role in my identity as well. So they kind of asked me, "Who are you? What are you doing?" So I said, "Okay, I am this. I am part of this team as well." So I kind of introduced. So when they heard that I was from an organization or a recognized um, group, they kind of have the trust in me. Yeah. So the work was flowing, not quite smooth, but it was flowing. Yeah. So the shipment comes in. One is logistics, the challenge. The second one is storage space. So storage space is when I secure volunteering with the NGO in Australia, and they're going to supply me with books. Um, they supply me in huge numbers like pallets. So they advise me to look for a storage space. So I don't have a storage space at the moment. So I was looking around and I came across a business house. It's called Oil Mill Field Services. They usually set up tents for the mining companies in PNG. So I come across them and I asked them if they could they have a big yard and they have goods going in and they pack them and send them out. So I went there and I spoke with the manager, asking him if they could have a space. So these days people don't just give storage space for free. They want something to be in exchange. But it it was very generous. They had to give me a storage space for free. So when I secured this storage space for free, I was overwhelmed with them, and I advised them that I always keep them on the loop in whatever I'm doing, and also when the books are coming and when I'm coming to get the books out. So they are quite trained in this area. It's their area of work, so they know how to store the books well, so the books don't go damaged. So they wrap them up nicely, and they put them on the storage space on top, so wet or rain or anything won't damage the books. So they are quite handy in storage space. So that's how I managed to um, secure storage space is through consultation and speaking. Yeah. So letting them know what I'm doing, and we have us as long as we have a good understanding, and that's it. Yeah. So I'm still looking for a storage space, but I'm happy that they are helping.
Great. So I think like you've spoken about your challenges, your success stories, and I think I completely agree as you were sharing about the different challenges you're facing. You're actually I mean I don't see you feel pressurized or bogged down, which I'm sure must be the feeling, but you're just headstrong, and as you said, you kick them down with the spirit that you have, which is beautiful, and I absolutely admire it, Evelyn. I think which brings to my next question, like you are a youth leader, you are a part of Global Changemaker Fellowship, you work with a lot of young students, volunteers, teachers from across Papua New Guinea, and you're also collaborating very actively with other NGOs nearby, right, who support you with these book drives and other projects as well. So, in your opinion, what do you think is the role of youth in creating sustainable and scalable impact and working towards the 2030 goals that we have?
Thank you, Achi. So the STD goals that we have are global goals that we are all doing something towards solving a problem globally. So it can be in any country that we are at. Like I am in PNG, you can be in India, or you can be in Africa, you can be in China, wherever you are. But a project that you do that targets one of the SDG goals, and we are all solving this globally. So my encouragement to youths is if you are not someone with special needs, meaning you are able body, you can do anything and everything. It's about the mind power. So when I started off this, I said I started off from scratch. I had some issues that people don't respond. When you write to them, they don't respond, and expect that failure is also a growth. Accept that failure is also a growth. So I wrote to some of the MPs as well, trying to connect them with the rural schools as well, but the response was not quite well. I was upset, but the thing is perseverance. I didn't give up. So I continue moving around and doing all those things till I secure something that it's working now. So anything and everything that we do, we will still fail in any way, but it's part of growth. Yeah. So as a youth, you have the energy, you have the capacity, you have the potential to do more. And when we reach the ages that we are old and like that, you can just sit back and say, "Oh, I was once there doing that." You have a story to tell. So see yourself as someone who has a story to tell, and don't look down on yourself or think that anything is impossible. Everything is possible. It's just your mind.
Thank you so much, Evelyn, for putting this in a very beautiful way, right? Like, think of it as you're creating a story to tell someone few years down the line. That's so beautiful. With that, I come to my last question, right? Like, I know you've been one of the most active participants of Global Changemaker Fellowship cohort, and I absolutely love the energy that you bring to the team. And I think I want to also know how your experience has been so far. So, if you want to just share, like, how has the experience been for you as a Global Changemaker Fellow, and what are certain learnings that you've been able to apply to yourself and to your initiative? I know you've spoken about some of them, but just revisiting that question once again.
Thank you, Achi. So the first one that I learned is the one that I mentioned is managing my work, and that is through the utilization of global technologies, like the available technologies like Google Forms. Like I've learned to use those ones as well, and also those Zoom meetings are quite helpful. Like now I'm quite familiar with it. At first I at first I was quite hesitant to join and all those, but now I'm happy. I'm comfortable with communicating with you all through Zoom. And these are some of the things that I've learned through Global Change Makers program that I'm privileged and happy to carry on with me. Maybe I'll have some Zoom meeting with the teachers and the rural schools as well, and I'll send it over. So that's one, utilization of technology and managing my work online. The forms that I created for feedback and request, it's quite helpful. So now is anyone and everyone around PNG that's requesting for books, I just send them this link and um, they fill it up, everything. And then when they submit this, I just receive it and that's it. I have their profile already. That's one. Two is I really enjoyed and I learned a lot from the data analysis session. So there were some softwares that we are unaware of that can easily help our work to analyze our data. So I always done it the manual and the hard way. But when the supervisor or the trainer send the show us how to calculate and using some softwares online, it was very helpful. Yeah, it was very helpful, and I was thankful to be online on this session with the global change makers fellows and the team that I've learned this. And I shared my feedback, I think, with the instructor as well. I've said, oh, this is really helpful to me. I've done it the manual way, and I sometimes had sleepless nights to count data and all these ones. But yeah, but now it's quite easy, and I'm hoping to put this through my project so I can bring out some good data from there and share with you all.
Thank you so much, Evelyn, for sharing so candidly your learnings. And I think you've been very, very receptive as well. I think no matter what we've thrown in terms of challenges, tasks, then you've been very, very open, actively doing it and reaching out whenever you needed support. And I hope you continue to do that. With that, we've come to the end of our change conversation. Thank you so much once again, Evelyn, for taking out the time for this conversation and being the beautiful person that you are and bringing to this conversation as well. Thank you so much once again, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Achi, and everyone. It's a privilege to speak with you all. I don't speak much during sessions, but now it's a privilege and honor. Thank you.